Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about incest. How's that for an opening?
We're just jumping right into it. Welcome back to Sholicast again. So the topic of incest, like you said, Dr. X. So what like did you want to start off with in regards to that?
Maybe like how we got into incest.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think probably I remember on X Hamster there, which is the website I used to use way back when.
Still is around.
It still is around. I just don't use it very often. Basically, what I would see is, and I'm pretty sure most of these weren't actual incest, but people would like title them as incest. So it was basically like, usually what I watched was like a kind of like older women with younger men stuff, and they would call it mom son stuff. And then later on, when it started being, I don't know, I started getting banned or something around along those lines, or the people wanted to be more covert about it. Kind of what they do is they'd say like son with not his mom or something like that, or mom with not her son.
Yep. And that time period, like there's still some of those videos that are around, but it's like they're not as prevalent anymore, or they actually are, unfortunately, like step stuff. So, to all you out there that like step stuff, more power to you. I'm personally not a fan of it. I don't, because, okay, here's the reason why I'm not a fan of it. It's because they try to frequently deceive you into thinking that it's like actual blood-related incest when it's not. And that kind of annoys me, because it's like they're just kind of baiting and switching you. If they made it very, very clear during the beginning of the video or beginning of the scenario or whatever that it was step, then I could at least be like, all right, well, I'm not interested in this. I can skip over it. But when they don't say it, or even worse, and I'm sure you've encountered this, Dr. X, where they go mom and son or brother and sister, and then you click on it and it goes, oh, I actually remember this one. The funniest video I saw was this girl that goes, I can't believe that we're brother and sister, except we're like not. It's like that was the dumbest thing that she said.
Yeah, that's a fucking turn off way to ruin it.
Yeah, like you might as well just not say anything, because I almost wonder if they do that specifically so that there can be plausible deniability. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I would think that's what it is. But I feel like you could just have like a disclaimer in the beginning of the video saying it's like just role play or something.
And some videos do that. And even some games do that too. I think Snow Days did that as well.
That is just role play. That it's step incest.
Yeah, which it doesn't happen very often. It's kind of goofy to do that.
That's like an X. Well, no shade on that game, of course, but that's like an extra layer to trying to get away from the blood-related incest. And it reminds me of that joke we had of like people starting to say, because, okay, so on Patreon, and Hydra knows this already because we talked about it.
Oh yeah,
people would to get it past the incest ban sort of thing, for their games or works or whatever, they basically change their game so that the mom is referred to as a landlady, and the brothers or sisters are referred to as roommates.
Yep.
And they do this because even step incest is banned on Patreon, right? So they can't even do like the stepmom stuff or nothing.
Which I know sounds crazy. Like, I know that sounds unbelievable, but it's true. If you look at the Patreon terms of service, they say step incest is. I love when they say step incest as if it's actual. But that's the whole thing. Is it's like they've blurred like the step stuff with the actual incest stuff, and it's weird. But basically, Patreon banned it, and like Dr. X said, now they're just like, it's landlady. And yeah, we'll continue on what you were talking about, the funny joke that we made.
The joke that we made is that like just imagine like people taking it a step further, where like we'll do like, instead of landlady, it's like step landlady, and instead of roommate, it's step roommate. And it's just like just funny to think about, like if incest becomes even more problematic. Or like even because landlady stuff is kind of associated with the incest stuff now. If people will be like I can't believe I'm fucking my step landlady. I don't even know what the fuck that would mean.
Did you ever see the new tag on Sankaku Complex that they called? Man, someone's going to correct me on it. It's called congeniality or something.
Isn't it consanguine or something like that?
Consanguinality. Someone's going to correct me on it. I'm sorry.
I'm probably saying it wrong as well.
I don't remember the exact term, but it's recent. It's a new thing they've added where whenever you type in incest stuff, usually like the incest tag is still there, but then you also have that other one, and the description of it is something very odd, like related not by blood but by some other. It's basically the equivalent of step stuff. It's really weird because they're mislabeling it. Like they're putting it, like, for example, if there's a brother sister character, there's like, oh, that's whatever. I'll have to actually look it up just because I don't want to keep mispronouncing it.
Can you look it up?
I'm looking it up right now just because it's very easy to find. You might hear my keyboard clickety clacketing. Okay, this is actually very tough to pronounce. It's called consanguinity. It's a very, very weird way.
How did they define it?
They define it as bearing a relationship by blood or a common ancestor. Okay, so it is basically incest. It's just very weird. It says distinction from incest tag. Here's where it gets kind of interesting. It says distinction. While incest counts of instance of consanguinity, it's very strange how it's worded. This doesn't mean any act depicted with those kinds of characters is incestuous. Example, a man getting oyakodon, having sex with a mother and daughter at the same time, doesn't imply them doing something incestuous. Okay, I get it. Yes, I know what they're talking about now. Okay, so you know how sometimes they'll be like, and they've done this on porn videos too, where you'll have, like, for example, a brother, right? And the more specific context, you get just a random guy, like a man or a young man or whatever, and it's a mom and daughter are both sucking him off, right, or whatever, or giving him a blowjob or whatever, but the mother and daughter like both make sure to not interact with each other in any way. Mm-hmm. That's basically what that is. That's what that means. It's meaning you're blood related, but you're not actually like doing any interaction with each other, even though you might be having sex with somebody else. That's what that is.
So in that case, it wouldn't be the incest tag, it would be that other tag? Is that right?
It would be... well, here's the weird thing. It mixes it sometimes because there's like some animations that will show like a mom and daughter, sucking off a guy, and then it looks like they're not going to interact with each other, and all of a sudden they kiss each other at the end. And so then they apply the incest tag. It's like really weird. But yes, you basically have the right idea that if they're explicitly having sex together and it's brother and sister, mother, daughter, whatever, any kind of blood relationship, then it's incest. But if it's something where it's two related by blood people, but they're not having sex with each other, but they're involved in a sexual situation, like in a threesome, then it's that consanguinity or whatever, however you pronounce it.
That's kind of amazing that they're being that specific.
Yeah, because I mean, I get it. I get that concept, because there is actual websites dedicated to a guy, random broski, having a sex with like a mother and daughter pairing, even if they're not related, but they try to play it up that they are. And like when they do it, they make sure to like the mother and daughter like stay like clear of each other in any way. They don't share the cum. They don't like that. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like that funny joke of like, it's not gay unless the balls are touching. It's basically the same thing with that. It's like, well, as long as the mom and daughter, as long as their lips or their tongues don't touch when they're giving the blowjob, they're okay. They're not actually having sex with each other. It's really amusing.
You know, I kind of get it, because kind of a thing in like incest, that some people like when it's done like this, some people like is like a family that is kind of free and open regarding sexuality, in the sense that they're not like judging each other or like preventing each other from having sex. You know what I mean? Like very liberated atmosphere of no judgment and like not having a problem being sexual around each other, or like nude around each other, even if they're not actually doing anything with each other.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Even if they're not sexually interested in each other or anything, but it's like a very free environment. But it's kind of like that in the IA games.
That's true.
Well, specifically the first one, because of the family focus, you can get to a point in the story where, you know, everyone's like fucking naked in the house, and everyone, you know, everyone's free to be naked or having sex and stuff. So, and that's one of the appeals with incest and in relation to in relation to like multiple family members getting involved, like more than two, the whole family basically, is that kind of atmosphere of you know, like acceptance and non-judgmentalness, and that's actually one of the reasons why incest appeals to me. Basically, that it's very like a warm atmosphere of like acceptance and, you know, closeness and stuff like that.
Well, you have to wonder if like maybe the reason why like people's interest in incest in the fictional sense, of course, is that maybe they are trying to experience what it would be like to be close to a family member, maybe one that they didn't know, or maybe one they don't have a good relationship with in real life. You know, we won't go too deep into that, but it's, you know, there's different reasons why people would find it interesting.
You know, but I definitely think you're onto something there, because you know, in real life, there's a lot of barriers to being close with a family member. Can be a lot of stress and fighting and trouble, etc. So that you're not very close to a family member, but in incest fiction, the characters get really close to each other, even though they're related. You know, and they accept each other's bodies and sexual interests and everything. And in real life, some people are very like. Some families are very like. I'm talking about this even outside the incest thing. They're very like cagey about sex. Like they don't want to hear another family member mention it or nothing like that.
And that goes back to what you were talking about, that the reason why that tag exists now is it's about if a family is very accepting of that and open about it and is comfortable with it, because there's, you know, there's obviously a lot of families that aren't or don't even like talking about it or mentioning it or anything like that. But I know that my main reason why I like incest is actually a bit more of a simple reason, and it's the reason why I like it is because you already are established with some kind of relationship between the characters. In other words, you know that this is a mom and son. Therefore, like the mom raised her son, or like, you know, it knows him on a personal level. And I find that more interesting of a dynamic than just two random people that don't even know each other and yet they decide to fuck each other. Like that is harder for me to find appealing. And that's a big reason why in IA and IA2, we don't take the approach of where most porn movies go, or even a lot of different porn games go, where you meet a random character and then they talk for a little bit, and then the protagonist's penis comes out and they just find that attractive, and then they just have sex, and there's no other lead up to it. There's no development of their friendship, of their relationship, of them getting to know each other. I don't find that very appealing, especially if I'm playing a game where I'm trying to follow a story.
But I think in your reasons for why you like incest, it's the same. It's honestly pretty much what I said as well, because that's what you're describing is basically the closeness of the two characters.
That's right.
Like, the whole thing with the mom raising a son. That's like implied closeness, basically.
That's right. That's exactly it. And same thing with like brother, sister, any kind of dynamic of that would occur between the family members. And going back to what you were talking about like how in the first IA, like how you'd eventually reach the point where all the family members would be naked around the house and stuff, but they wouldn't necessarily be sexually attracted to each other, but they would to Nate.
Yes.
One of the things that was interesting is, if people who are fans of Julia and Sam will remember this, that there is a threesome scene with them where you can have Julia and Sam kiss each other while Nate is, fapping and then jizzes on their faces and then their mouths and stuff. And the funny thing is that was put in as an optional thing where you didn't have to choose having Sam and Julia do that if you didn't want it, and it actually wasn't because we didn't want them to have an incestuous, we didn't want Sam and Julia to kiss each other. It was that some people are not into Yuri, aka like lesbian stuff.
And the other part of that was because we didn't want any cucking into your stuff, where like so we wanted to make sure that for the characters that you're romancing, they wouldn't do anything with another character without your your go ahead, basically.
And people do ask about that. That they ask about, how come you can't have I remember people would ask, how come you can't have Haley, have sex with her mom or get interested in her mom or whatever? And I'm just like, well, we can have that as long as Daniel is kind of the one who is involved in it or gives the go ahead with it. Or because we want to avoid having a situation where Haley gets the hots for her mom and then just independently wants to have sex with her and doesn't, then you get like a whole, that then it goes on that thing into like cucking and stuff and NTR and cheating. And Dr. X and I are not fans of that. That's the reason why we like really try to be careful when designing the stories and the character dynamics, that we don't run into that problem, or we have characters. And this actually goes to when you get into multiple relationships with multiple characters, like in IA2, we try to make sure to write that each character is okay with it. Or they voice they kind of talk about it or mention it at some point.
Right, and it's kind of like how IRL poly relationships do it, where they talk it out before someone enters like another relationship with another person, making sure that everyone in the relationship is okay with it. So it's kind of in the same approach we took with the games, is that we made sure that everyone involved is okay with it. So very conveniently, everyone is okay with Nate or Daniel fucking other girls. But of course in real life that does happen, where like one person is okay with their partner pursuing whoever, and they might even find it hot as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And most likely, some of the IA characters do find that attractive. That Nate or Daniel are such shota chads that they're pulling all these women and girls.
Yep. That's right. So you asked early on, right in the beginning of the podcast, how did we get into the incest thing to begin with? I think it honestly, I can't think of like a specific example. I think it just was one of those things of like, goes back to what I was saying or what you were talking about, that it's like that familiarity and that like that pre-established kind of relationship or connection that the characters have. I found that more appealing than just random characters that didn't know anything about each other or had no connection to each other. I just that did not turn me on as much as the incest aspect. And again, I go back to that Pandora's Box Kama Sutra Dragon Ball comic. I think that was one of the first ones I can think of where like it was very explicitly incest and was like, you know, mom and son, and like that whole dialogue of saying, you know, mom and son, because, you know, there were certainly drawings around of like, I remember seeing like King Triton fucking Ariel from The Little Mermaid and stuff, or even funnier, Belle and her dad, who's like that old guy from Beauty and the Beast, like fucking her. And I remember there was even an image of him, of Belle being like, but dad, I don't know if I want like a little brother. And then he's just like, too late. And then that was the name of that was the image. And I liked those. I thought but those were more like, I was just familiar with the characters and found it amusing, but still fappable. And then that was how I kind of got into it. And it just kind of branched out from there into getting really interested in seeing more developed relationships and things like that.
Yeah. Well, you can think of it like this. The incest is a premise, right? As opposed to like, it's just like two random people fucking, where there's no real premise there aside from the fucking.
Yeah.
Whereas incest is a premise. It's a situation. It's a condition. So just from that, it adds some interest and some, you know, dynamics and stuff like that. And, you know, in some, you know, a lot of people are into different kind of relationship types or dynamics between two characters. Like some people are really into the you know, two rivals fucking. Especially we were talking about the yaoi fountain.
Yes.
Very prevalent there.
Yeah, well, you were telling me that like Bakugo and Deku from My Hero Academia, like that is a really popular. That's like a really popular character dynamic.
And you know, back in the old days, it was Naruto and Sasuke.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Although for Deku and Bakugo, it's kind of like a one-sided rivalry in a way.
That's true, because Deku's so passive.
But even so, because of the rivalry Bakugo has for Deku, it appeals to a lot of people because it's, like I said, it's like a premise.
Yeah.
It adds intrigue and interest and dynamics as opposed to just like, you know, two random people. Of course, like if we're talking about like Deku and Ochako, it's not really two random people because they're friends, and you know they're obviously into each other and they have like cute interactions and stuff. But that's another kind of premise is the friendship to lovers premise, which of course is I mean, that's very standard, but it is something I enjoy as well. And another premise people like is the childhood friends premise.
Yep, that's classic.
Yeah,
that's a classic one. But I mean, it's because, like, you know, I mean, again, friends to lovers or childhood friends lovers. Again, like you said, there's a premise, and it's an appealing one, rather than just random people meeting each other. Now, to be fair, in IA, Nate does randomly meet Casey, for example. But why does it work? Well, it's because the premise. It's like he goes into, a bathroom stall. It's a glory hole. It's like it's kind of set up a scenario where they do some interaction, and there's kind of some build up to them doing things. And it's not like they just go all out the very first time. It's, she gives him a hand job the first time. So it's kind of like it's teasing you. She still gets him the nut, but it's like there's more interactions after that. And then they kind of get to know each other more. And that's what I think makes that better than just two random people meeting and fucking and doing every single thing under the sun, and then that's it. And that's over.
Right. But the thing is, though, right off the bat, we have a premise with IA and Nate and Casey's the fact that it's straight Shota, and he's a little boy and she's a grown woman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course.
But even so, like you said, that we don't make it like mindless sex that just for some reason immediately happens when they meet. There's build up, and you get a sense of, you also get a sense of Casey and what her interests are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think it was implied that she's done this before, right?
Yeah, like the implication is that Casey's just a super horn dog, and basically, is really into, like kinky stuff, like going into like a bathroom stall and stuff. But what she also is she's obviously a Shotokan, and that Nate is the first like Shota that she's encountered. And that's the reason. And that kind of just elevates her, experience to a new level. And she obviously attaches herself to Nate. And that's what makes it more appealing. That's basically how it works with Casey, is that she's done it before, but she hasn't had this kind of experience with Nate up to that point.
Oh, so Nate was her first Shota.
I think so, yes, because I seem to remember that, like when she first sees his dick go through the glory hole, she sees that it's obviously like a Shota's dick and not, like a grown adult man's penis and stuff.
and she went for it. Good for her. Kudos.
Yep.
I'm proud of her.
And then like with Vicky, the mysterious character that so many people always never realize how to get. Though for those of you who watched Biddy Cat's stream, she actually did manage to encounter Vicky on her own, which was cool. So
I think it probably helps that Biddy is a fast typist.
Yes.
So the mini game was not such a problem for her.
Yeah, definitely check out Biddy's IA streams, does on Saturdays. You watch the previous episode and she'll talks a bit more about her streaming and stuff.
Yeah, make sure to check out Biddy's stuff and support her.
Yeah, because she's they're going through some rough patches with their websites and stuff being taken down and their accounts being taken down. So the good thing is the link that we provided is a link tree. So there's multiple links that Biddy Cat can just update so that you can go always to the right place, because she gets banned so much, which is unfortunate. But
and that sort of thing is a common thing with people who make lolly and Shota art, is getting banned and having to find a new platform and stuff, and that's why it's really important to support those creators. And it's not even limited to just lolly and Shota, because just look at everything that Patreon bans.
That's right.
On Barag, I've seen even artists who don't even make that. They don't even make lolly or Shota art, but they do incest or rape or or zoo, porn or mind control, basically the non-con stuff, or bcle/zoophilia. And because that stuff is frowned upon on Twitter and other sites, they'll go on Barag anyway. So in general, we should think about supporting people who make any kind of taboo content like that. that is not fully accepted by all these different sites, because they go through rough patches. Sometimes they get harassed by people. So it's really important to if you like their stuff, support them, and preferably financially, but even just like telling them that you like their stuff, and offering words of support, and sharing their art with other people. That all that stuff matters a lot.
Oh, it matters big time. Like you got to realize that a big motivational factor for people who create stuff, artists, and we're not just talking about artwork. We're talking about writing. We're talking about voice acting. We're talking about 3D models. We're talking about all kinds of the different aspects that go into the art stuff. When you are showing support or telling them that you really like their work or you'd like to see them do more, that's pretty huge to hear, especially when when you're a Lolly and Shota creator or any of those taboo creators. You might be creating a lot of stuff and making a lot of great content, but when you get harassed or when you get negative messages directed towards you, that can beat you up psychologically and demotivate you. But when you get encouragement and when you get support from fans, or when they see new people joining and people who are excited, that motivates you even more. And case in point of that is Dr. X and I seeing so many great comments and feedback on our podcast and on IA and IA2, of course. It always makes us smile and really lifts us up even more to work on this stuff when we see all those great comments.
Yes, and I absolutely love seeing stuff like that, and I'm very honored to see how many fans we have and how much the IA games mean to them. It's just a very great experience that I'm proud about, and I feel, I just feel very honored about that. And I enjoy talking to the fans in general. I'm not one of those people who who like completely are averse to interacting with the fans. But yeah, it's great seeing positive comments, and like you said, it's especially important for that people who make a taboo content receive positive comments and words of support, because we don't want the only feedback to be harassment from people who are sort of judgmental towards that kind of content, right?
That's right. And I don't want to downplay the financial support aspect either, because it is very true that that whole term of us, the starving artist, that is a very fact of life, unfortunately, especially depending on where you live. Like there are certain places in the United States where it is crazy expensive just to live in a small little apartment. So if you can lend financial support to creators you love, you got to also put things into perspective too. Even if you can only give an artist like $1 or a few dollars, you got to realize that if you are also letting other people know about this person and they like it and then they support it, your $1 can technically turn into additional dollars from other people that want to support. And then suddenly this artist goes from, your $1 you supported to $10 and then $50 and then $100. And that's where the positive words, the positive encouragement, the making sure you spread their content around people who you think will like it is so important.
Yeah. And I kind of want to go on a tangent here. Is that I think you said that, and I just remembered this because we were talking about BCLA for a second.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is that on Sankaku they changed the BCLA tag to zoophilia? Is that right?
Zoophilia, yes.
Yes. I wonder why they did that.
I'm not sure. They didn't. I don't. I mean, unless I didn't check, but I didn't. I'm sure there was some kind of discussion maybe over it on the mods, but I mean, I don't know if there was any official announcement on it. I just know that it used to be that you put in bestiality. Well, actually, it's called bestiality. Apparently, that's
Really?
how you're. Yes, that's how you're actually supposed to pronounce it, because it's not BEAST. It's BEST. Bestiality.
Are you absolutely sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. Like if I type in BESTA, yep, it's BESTIALITY on the Merriam-Webster.
But that's how it's spelled though. But how's it pronounced?
Let's see. It says bestiality. If I read it, let's see if I listen to it. Bestiality. That's how they say it on the website. Bestiality. I know it's weird. I don't usually
probably bestiality fans would get a kick out of that.
Oh, they do,
because it has best in it.
Yeah.
But I think bestiality just sounds much better personally.
I do too. I think it sounds better. And you know, anyway, regarding the zoophilia tag, basically what happens is if you put in bestiality into Senkaku, it changes over to zoophilia. Why they changed it, I don't know. Maybe what was happening is maybe people were mixing the tags or something. Like maybe there were a lot of people putting zoophilia and a lot of people putting bestiality, and they were just like, well, this is annoying. Let's just unify it into one thing.
Oh, honestly, that's probably what it was. Yeah.
And that's probably a similar thing they did with the congendia, however the fuck you spell it. I'll never be able to pronounce that word. It's so weird. Because they probably figured, well, rather than having to deal with figuring out which of these animations have a mother and daughter, sucking a guy, but they're not kissing each other, well, let's just slap that tag on there along with incest. There, now it's solved. And that's the reason why when you type in incest, you get both tags usually at the same time. I would imagine it's because they're just trying to consolidate them.
Yeah. So what are your favorite incest pairings in terms of the relationship types?
Well, see, here's the thing. I love brother and sister, but what I like usually is older sister like Kira from IA, younger brother. That's usually what I like. But I do like brother and sister that are very close in age. And if I could rank them, I would say it's older brother or older sister, younger brother, brother and sister that are similar in age, and then younger sister, older brother. But when I say older brother, I mean he's still a Shota. I would say the least appealing to me. And when I say least appealing, I'm still gonna slap my meat around to it. I'm still gonna like it. Is older brother, meaning a brother who's maybe older teens or young adult with his little sister, who's more pure lolly. That would be my ranking for that. Then mother and son I like, of course. I think my least favorite, and again, don't exaggerate the least favorite too much when I say this, but dad and daughter, usually I'm not. I don't actively look for that tag.
I don't see it very often, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that mom-son stuff is more prevalent in straight Shota than father-daughter stuff is in lolly stuff.
That's definitely true. Yes.
Yes. But I do like father-daughter stuff myself. And what's amusing is that a lot of mom-son stuff and father-daughter stuff, the other parent is just not there.
Non-existent. Yep.
Yes.
Or they appear at the very end. I know a lot of times what they'll do is after the mom and son fuck each other's brains out, usually the dad will come home and then he'll be like, oh, what's this strange smell in the bathroom? What's the and that's like usually some comical thing. And I almost wonder if they do that because they don't want it to make it maybe part of that reason why they don't show the other parent is because they don't want it to, they want to try to separate it from the NTR cucking aspect as much as they can, even though it's technically still happening. You know what I mean? Like they're trying not to make it be like the son is cheating on his dad with his own mom and stuff like that.
Well, a lot of the time, it's like a single mom or a single dad.
Right. There's that too. Yep. That's usually very common. Yes. But I've seen plenty of like mom and son where like the dad is gone out on like a business trip for long periods of time, or he may have he's just gone for some reason or whatever. I've seen those too. But yes, a lot of times there's single moms, and my guess is they do that because they don't want to bother dealing with the dynamics of the dad, or because they don't want to deal with the cucking NTR aspect. Could be either one of those aspects, or they just do it because they just want mom, son, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, I think all three of those reasons are in play.
One of my kind of enjoyable ones, and funny enough, there actually is not a whole lot of this, but for some reason I enjoy it. Are the surprise incest things, where in other words you have like a scenario where Mashota is having sex with a girl or like a MILF or whatever, and they don't know that it's like their mom or their sister or their cousin or something like that, and then they find out afterward, like after they've nutted on their face or in their pussy or whatever. That I don't know why I find those appealing and amusing.
You know what the funny thing is though, is that you don't see that very often, right? But like if you go on an anime, like they do the reverse pretty often.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Where it's like the two characters are like who are into each other or whatever. They don't go all the way because they think they're related, but then like at the end of the anime, they find out they're not related. So now we can be together.
Screw that! You could be together regardless.
Because I want to see more anime that have the balls to do that, to do blood related incest.
All right, we're going to use the amazing power of this podcast to request something, because I actually have wondered about this. Anybody out there who knows of good animes that do have some kind of like brother sister or incest relationship that actually goes all the way, or like actually develops well, let me know, because I have been curious to see if there's any animes that have done that. I don't think there are any decent ones that have done it. I've heard of a few, but they don't sound terribly appealing, or they do the dreaded or even worse than when they say they're not related is when like they think they're brother sister and then they go, oh well, actually we're step, and then that's like the ultimate. It's a slap in the face, at least to me. Well, when that happens.
Yeah, that's basically what it meant. Where they originally think they're blood related, and then they find out that that they're step or whatever, or like adopted or whatever.
and they only find out about it like way towards the end.
Yeah, and Fire Emblem Fates actually did this, where basically certain, like if you're romancing one of your quote unquote family members, you find out like at the in the conversation where you like admit your feelings that you're not actually related.
That's
it's like a letter from your fucking mom that says, well, I know you two might find it, you might develop feelings for each other, but don't worry because you're not related.
How convenient that your mom sent you that letter.
But and of course I wish they had gone all the way with blood related incest, because that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would. And I mean, they don't have to, even though you and I would love it if like they actually like made it a very positive thing. But I do want them to do that. But I'm saying like they can of course make it so that like, the characters initially aren't sure if they should go all the way with each other. But I would like to see a Fire Emblem game or any kind of anime or video game where if they do go with like an incest relationship, that they don't show it in a negative light. That's actually another thing that I'd like to talk about is there's definitely a lot of, thankfully not as many, but there's definitely games out there or animes or shows or movies where the incest aspect, even if it like is a good relationship that happens, it's like you get punished for it, or it's like a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like something negative happens because you chose to have sex with your sister or your mom or whatever. I hate that.
Or it's just portrayed as an immoral thing to do.
Yeah, because I mean, in the fictional world, it's like, who the fuck cares? And that's why I would like to just see an actual like positive relationship depicted between, family members when they develop feelings for each other and go all the way. I'd like to see it actually positive and no like negative things happen with it.
Well, you're lucky because there's this game called Insexual Awakening.
Wow, I've never heard of it. But you can see why we came up with this game though. Because there, frankly, when I came up with the idea of IA, there were no games that like showed incest in a positive light that I had found at the time, or the ones that I did find. Sorry. There's two different types that happen. Either the incest is seen as bad and you get punished for it in the end, or it's just seen as a very immoral thing, or the incest only happens through blackmail / mind control. And those were your two options basically. And it was like, I have no interest in this. I want the relationships to actually have meaning and be meaningful, and they actually do care about each other. I don't want this to be like immoral or they're mind controlling or blackmailing and they hate it, and mm-hmm. I have no interest in that.
Here's an interesting thing, because in Fire Emblem Awakening, there is an incest pairing, but it's like it's cousin incest.
Okay.
So, which I do like too, obviously, because in IA1 there is a cousin.
Yep, Julia.
Romance interest as well. But it got censored in the English localization, where they're just pals. They're just really good friends.
Well, like in the recent, people may know about this one. In the most recent one, which was
Fire Emblem Engage.
Was it Fire Emblem Engage? Yeah, in the most recent one, in the English translation, pretty much all the characters that were underage that you can have a relationship with, well, they changed it to there was a really funny one where they changed it from them showing feelings for each other in the Japanese version, and in the English version there's like, and they made a wonderful bakery shop together, and we're going to be great business partners, a pal. Like really stupid.
I think that was with Anna, which she was like a lolly in that game. That was her iteration, because she's like in every Final Fantasy game or something. The character Anna, and in Engage she was a lolly. So of course, like seems like pretty much every other version of the game, they went through with you can marry that character. But in the English localization, they just become pals. Yeah. So very, very boring. And I mean, I do like. Don't get me wrong, I do like friendships in video games. I play plenty of RPGs where you can befriend a character without fucking them. and it can be very fulfilling and satisfying, especially if you like the character, of course.
Yeah, like I love Garrus from Mass Effect 2. He's awesome.
Yes. And as a male shepherd, you don't even have the choice to fuck him. So you can only have friendship, but at the same time, it's very fun, and it's a relationship that develops and is dynamic and has history and stuff. We like that, but what we don't like is censorship. Okay, I want to romance a lolly, right?
When you have the option to do it and it gets removed, that pisses us off, because then you're taking away. Not only are you censoring, but you're actually limiting the gameplay to what it was supposed to be. So you're literally cutting content out of the game through your censorship, and that sucks.
And here's the thing, if someone doesn't like a certain kind of relationship type or whatever, right? Like let's say they don't like lollies.
Yep, I know where you're going with this.
They could just like not do it.
What do you mean not do it? If it's there, if that option's there, then that bothers me.
and it's the same thing with like in Persona 5. You can romance the teachers, right? No, you can romance a teacher or several other older women.
I'm still salty over not being able to romance Sai. Go ahead.
The Joker's 16, but he has the option to romance all these legally adult women, and some people had a problem with that, but no, it's very easy solution. Just don't do it. It's very easy to avoid romances in Persona 5 if you don't want to do it. It's a very telegraphed choice in the game of whether you wanna fuck them or not. Unfortunately, not literally. Although it is, I think it is implied in one of the scenes that you got intimate. But anyways, it's not easy to accidentally romance someone, and I think there might even be like a confirmation thing where they ask you if you for sure want to romance a character or something.
Yeah, they do. They basically say, is there something more to this, Joker, or they basically ask you, do you have more than, is this supposed to be more than just friendship or whatever? And then you can be like, oh, no, or you can be like, oh, yes. And yeah, like that. And then we did the same thing in IA, a very similar thing where, it's very, you actually we went even further in the IA games. You literally don't even have to interact with any of the lolly characters if you don't want. You don't have to interact with you don't have to interact with the mom. You don't have to interact with Rose. You don't have to interact with any of the additional characters. If you just want to focus on one character, or you just want to focus on the lollies, or you just want to focus on Tracy, the Shota, you can do that. So there's no reason for people to say, well, I don't like seeing lolly content in the game because even though I don't have to necessarily pursue them. It's like you can just ignore it.
Everyone should have the attitude of, in games in general, of if there's an option you don't like, just don't use it, and let people who would like that option enjoy themselves, rather than censoring.
I wonder if part of the reason why that happens is if it's a mixture of they think the characters are real, or if it's more like they're just looking for an exaggerated outrage. I don't know. It's
just very selective, because in these various games, there's if you take a very if you treat those characters as real or whatever, because there's plenty of other stuff in the games that you would take issue with, but certain stuff is singled out, like the whole thing about being able to date your teacher and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
And surprisingly, I did not go with any of the women until my third playthrough of Persona 5. Because in the first one I did Makoto.
I did too. Makoto's best girl for us.
Yes, I do like her the most. And then the second playthrough I did Haru, which unfortunately I wish I had actually not done it on my second playthrough, because in Royal they had added more content for her. So it would actually have been better if I had done it in Royal instead. But my first playthrough of Royal, which was that would be my third playthrough of Persona 5 in a general sense, I went with I think her name is like Oya. And she's the reporter, and a lot of people actually don't like her.
I'm one of them. I'm not a huge fan of her,
but like what I admired about her is that she's like she's a reporter who cares about the truth. That's what I liked about her. And also I kind of like I was curious about like what her romance would be like, in context of the fact that a lot of people didn't like her.
I only didn't like her because she drank a lot.
So it was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting in that sense of like, in that context, and also that she was an older woman. So I was curious about how the dialogue would go. And she does acknowledge that, obviously, that he's technically a minor and they're still dating. So that was a lot of fun. And I imagine it's the same thing for every other woman that you can romance in the game.
Well, I know with the teacher Kawakami or Kawakimi or however you pronounce her name, that there's a really funny, I think you've seen the meme of it. There's that really funny one where she says, "But I'm your teacher," and then one of your responses could be, "That's the best part." I love that. So funny.
Since we're on the topic of Persona, what I'd really love to see one day is a mod for Persona 4 where you can romance Nanako.
Yes. Yeah, big time.
And I kind of feel like if no one else does it, I'm gonna fucking do it. Because I don't want to wait 10 years for I don't want to wait 10 years and like 10 years later no one's actually made the mod.
Yeah, I mean, there are Nanako like nude models that people have made for animations, so it's not like the models don't exist. People have made models of Nanako, but they just haven't modded her into the game.
It's not just showing her nude, because it's a romance. You also have to set up the scenes and do the scripting and write her story and dialogue. So I'd love to see that. And Nanako even says that she wants to marry her big bro, so we should let it happen.
And for those of you non-Persona people, Nanako's character is basically the lolly character of Persona 4, and she's basically who you are at home with when you start the game and stuff, and she's just a very cute, appealing lolly character in the game. And you can like develop like a close bond with her as part of the gameplay mechanics in the story, but you can't romance her, which is a bummer. I'm at least glad that with the Fire Emblem game, like some people have managed to like mod the like uncensored version back in with like the English translation and stuff. But unfortunately, that's not super easy to do because since it's only on the Switch, it's not like a PC mod where you can just slap it in. You have to like figure it out on the Switch, or you got to download an emulator on the PC and then do it that way.
But I assume you would have to play with you'd have to play, the voice language have to be something else because.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'll be right.
But you could like still play with subtitles. Like you could just play in Japanese and play with English subtitles, but it's more fun if it's English and they're talking about, and you're romancing the lolly. It'd be more fun. So because you can actually understand it.
Yeah, that's true, and it's funny because it was only the English version where it changed. I think the other translations of it did not change. So it was whatever that localization was had changed it. Oh, and speaking of Persona 5, the reason why I'm salty about the Sai Nijima romance not being in there is actually unused voice dialogue where Sai says "I love you," and I'm just like, God damn it! Why did they remove it? Put it back in.
I
I'm sure it was
understand it
difficult.
because there weren't a ton of places in the story for it to happen. But
Yeah,
actually, I think there was like a part of the game that it could have happened, but it would be jam packed. It would be the fucking like speed dating.
it also would have occurred. Well, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played, but basically it would have happened at a point in the game where it would have been weird and wouldn't have made sense. Um, because of where like it would potentially develop or happen. But but yeah, like hopefully, but that see again, that's the reason why Dr. X and I make games where you can like, and even better, you're a Shota and you can romance, older women and that's a big reason why we
Yeah.
make these games because it's a lot of fun doing that.
Mhm.
And we're definitely going to be adding, there's going to be more stuff added to IA2 that we've been working on that are it's going to be very, very fun.
Mhm.
So we're looking forward to that.
To touch up upon the incest topic again, I would say my favorite pairing is definitely mom and son. But here's the thing: only straight Shota mom and son. So not like the not if the guy is a grown man, then I think I pretty much completely lost interest.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Yep.
Yeah, and with like mom son stuff and like role play porn, what I don't like seeing is like like the guy is like he looks like he's in his fucking 40s and he's like bald and everything, and he looks like he's the same age as the mom. Like
Yep. Or even
yeah,
worse, looks older than the mom.
yeah, that's super fucking weird. And of course I'm not into the step stuff, so that won't work for me either.
I need to think. Okay, so all the pairings that I like are brother sister, which I talked about, mother son, cousins is fine and enjoyable. Grandma and grandson, I like that one. Of course, of course, if it's a very attractive grandma, of course. And twins is obviously fun. I like that as well, whether they're fraternal twins or paternal twins. Like if they look exactly the same, those are fun. I do like sister and sister, but I do like the Yuri stuff. Um, and I think that's pretty much because all the other combinations are just if I want brother sister sister or brother sister or whatever, like all those pairings of course I like because it just adds on to it more. Oh yeah, aunt, of course, aunt and uh nephew, always a good one. Those are always fun, like
But
all
you're
the
you're not actually into brother stuff because that's gay.
But I'm into it though if it's like the two brothers fucking the sister though. Then like that I'm fine with.
Uh-huh.
But I'm generally not into the brother no.
Mhm.
Um so but other than that, I pretty much every other pairing I enjoy and have fun with. So
Yeah, I like brother sister as well. Pretty much with any kind of age difference, including no age difference. Yeah, I think it works for me a lot. Um, so it's a lot less conditional for me than the mom son stuff. So I would still be interested in brother sister even if both the characters were adults. And like for mom son stuff where the guy is an adult, it just loses that dynamic that I like, because it makes it, because I think, I mean, like, I think the main appeal for mom son stuff for me and for many other people is it's kind of like the difference in experience, right? And stuff like that, along with, the general stuff I said before, with the closeness and acceptance and familiarity and etc. Um, but when the guy is like an adult, and he's had some experience, most likely, or something, at least in a general sense of life. And what's worse is he might even be taller than the mom at that point. Oh God.
Yep. Especially if the mom is really short.
Yeah. So that really takes away from it for me, because I do like the shorter man, taller woman stuff, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
But
Yep.
like, if the mom's son and stuff is like, it's adult man who's like, he's taller than mom, like, what is there for me to sink my teeth into? Because there's no longer such a difference in experience and knowledge and etc. And he's taller than her now.
And that kind of goes back to the whole premise thing. Like, why is the incest appealing? Because the premise with Shota and the mom is interesting in itself. That whole experience, and the maturity of the two characters. But if it's like adult son and mom, it's you've taken away, certainly taken away the Shota aspect, but then you take away also potentially the experience aspect, and then it just then you're basically only one step away from just being, just a woman who's slightly older with a young man, and that's, it's like, whatever. There's lots of stuff like that.
Do you know what I've never seen before that I think that'd be fun though? Is like father daughter stuff, with like the daughter is like taller than dad. I think that would be really amusing.
that actually would be really interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen it ever.
I don't recall that. No, actually, yeah, you're right. I have not heard of any of that. I mean, the only context I can think of is like, if if like the dad like married, the mom, and the mom was like way taller, like Amazon type girl, and then the daughter ended up being, inheriting the mom's height. That would definitely be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun, because it's kind of like kind of like a different condition than you'd normally see. I think for father daughter stuff, I'm less conditional than the mom son, but I think I still prefer if the daughter's like a teen or younger. But I think it could still be fun if the daughter is an adult, but it's not as fun. So the primary difference is that I don't think it would typically turn me off if the daughter was an adult compared to the mom son stuff, where I think I'd pretty much be really turned off if the son was an adult. I think I like brother if one of them is like a femboy and the other one isn't, then I like it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep. I can say. Oh, you know what pairing I also like is, if it's sister and sister, I do like if, or it's not necessarily that I prefer this one, but I don't mind it if one of them's Fuda and the other one isn't. That pairing I do like for sister. Um, in terms of like what age range, for some reason, sister, I usually like it when they're a little older, like teenagers or like young adults, for some reason. Although if they're non-Fuda, then I'm fine with the sister being like more lolly range. Then I like it. Then it's fun. But I think my favorites by far are when it's, Shota and teenage girl, or Shota older woman, things like that are definitely the cool ones.
And father son stuff, pretty much the same thing for me as brother, one of them is a femboy and the other one isn't, then I can get into it. I do think I can like grandma grandson stuff. Of course, that was in the first IA with Edna.
Which a lot of people were unsure about that one. It was so funny because a lot of people were just like, "Oh, you're putting in a grandma in the game. Oh, but she's gonna be like so ugly and like that." I'm just like, what? Why would we put in like a super ugly character? And I think it was just that whole expectation of there weren't a whole. I don't think there were a whole lot of like gilf characters at that point in time when IA was being made. Like could you think of any games that had like gilfs in them? I couldn't really think of any at that time.
No,
They're even now they're still pretty uncommon. You don't see them very frequently. Um, I know Glassfish is going to work on one with a grandma, which is going to be great. But
because what happened on Patreon is that for a time, the incest games were really popular there, and I think incest games are still popular, but they, well, as we said, they do the landlady thing, and they might have like a patch that you can get to restore the incest stuff, or they might let you change what the relationship type is in the game, but you just like input a different relationship type, right?
that was clever.
So
Yes.
instead of like landlady, you do like mom or whatever. But anyways, I think probably the the surge in incest games increase the likelihood of a grandma character, but it's still probably not very common, and certainly not with Shota.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. I think the having it be a Shota and like a grandma is very uncommon. Like that's a lot less common, which is why I wanted to put it in because I hadn't seen it. It was very very unusual to see it.
And I also like Aunt and Nephew, which of course is also an I one. Um, and I guess one of the appeals for me for that is that because she's a mom's sister, it's kind of that's an interesting dynamic. Like, I guess the sneaking around, or like, the whole thing of possibly getting caught, or like, the fact that she's getting with her sister's son.
Yeah, that's where I think the appeal comes in for me. Is it's like the mom's sister is fucking her son like that's really fun. It's like it almost adds like another layer of taboo to it.
Yes, and taboo in general can make incest more fun and exciting. I wouldn't say it's the main appeal. For some people, it is. The taboo stuff is the main appeal for it. It isn't for me, but it's for me. It's like more. It adds spice to it. It's not the main appeal, but adds some spice, like a cherry on top, I guess.
And that's why, like I said, like the surprise incest stuff is fun for me, and also like in in IA and IA2 especially, we write it in a way where in the IA world incest is allowed, like it's legally allowed in the IA world, but it's not necessarily completely socially accepted. So that's the reason why you'll get characters kind of thinking about it and talking about it, and then they decide obviously to go for it. but it's like that is a little bit of that spice, like you said, to make it a little more interesting.
Exactly, and I think for aunt and nephew stuff, since they're not like immediately related, the spice a little matters a little more for me for their. And so cousin stuff, I do like it, but I would say that it's not as appealing as a immediate family stuff, but I do still like it, and I like that Fire Emblem Awakening had it, even though it got censored in the English version. And they were first cousins too.
Damn.
So it's not like they were like like distant cousins or anything.
Yeah, they just need to just stop freaking out over that stuff and just let it be put in. Like, if anything, and this is what we've learned, is games that usually put something controversial in them. Well, if people get like freak out over it, or there's some kind of like, faux outrage over it, that actually just ends up attracting more attention to the game, and then it actually ends up getting more popular. That very much like the cyberpunk anime, with the with Rebecca, the quote unquote lolly, even though she's not, she's just a small adult woman. But anyway, the point is that people were freaking out over it, that didn't like it, but that ended up just actually getting more people interested in the show and learning more about it and watching it and liking it. So it's like, the point is, don't censor your game, just do it as is. As a matter of fact, the other day, I won't say who, but I remember I was talking with somebody about who was going over. They wanted to come up with a game themselves that had similar stuff like IA, and one of the things they talked about is they were debating whether they wanted to make the Shota and Lolly characters older and actually make them basically Shota adjacent, Lolly adjacent. And the only reason why they were doing it was because they didn't want to get any flack, or because they didn't want to get in trouble or whatever. And I said to him, I basically said to him, don't self-censor yourself, because that's if you do that, then you're not gonna feel as much satisfaction as you would just doing it the way that you intended or that you wanted. Because you may get people who don't like it, but it's like you need to just say, I don't care. I want to do it the way that I want creatively, because that's more fulfilling for me. And so I gave that advice to that person, because that's how Dr. X and I would do it. Like, we do not ever want to have to censor our games ever again after what we went through with Patreon. Fuck that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, and we had people, when we started having problems with Patreon, we had people started suggesting that we like age up Nate and Sam and the other, and Julia, and we were like, fuck that, not
Yeah, we
doing
were like,
that,
no.
not interested in that at all, or like, not interested in making Simone a fucking landlady. Yeah, like not interested in removing the incest. Yeah, fuck that.
Well, and also think about like how much work it would take to change the dialogue to make it where it's not incest anymore. That would take a huge amount of work, and it just wouldn't be worth it. You'd be censoring yourself doing all this extra work. No.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how whole hog we went with the incest in IE1. Like it was the main focus. So you couldn't just remove it. Not that it was ever an option for us. We never considered it at all.
And I mean, even the name of the game. I mean, the reason why we say IA so much is because, originally the game was called Ancestral Awakening. Then Dr. X had said, well, actually, it probably should have been Incestual Awakening. I'm like, oh yeah, it should have. But due to Patreon, we had to change the name into Insexual Awakening, which thankfully most people seem to know, seem to get it at this point, because it's been out there for such a long time. But that name was a product of censorship. When you think about it, in Sexual Awakening.
So that would be the only instance that we did it.
Yep. Because the funny part is I looked up, or I think you looked up what insexual meant, or maybe someone told us about it.
I looked it up, and it means something along the lines of not being interested in sex.
So it ultimately kind of was a funny tongue-in-cheek, like ironic.
It wasn't on purpose, because
it wasn't on purpose.
We didn't know at the time.
Yeah, we didn't. So it actually ended up making it kind of funny.
Well, you can kind of think of it as like, at the very beginning of the game, Nate isn't interested in sex because he doesn't really know what it is, and then he awakens to it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that was kind of the whole point. That was the whole point, is that he does awaken to it, and then it just turns into an amazing kind of journey of just incest and fucking and and then the group scene, of course, at the end. Spoilers, but I think if as soon as I mention that, people who haven't played it will be more interested in playing it. So
yes, if you like incest, it would be a great choice. The only thing it doesn't have is gay incest, but we're probably gonna have that in the third game. So
yes,
sit tight.
Yep. Can't say too much about IA3 because that's still a long way off. But
I can say a few things.
Yeah.
But it is a long ways off. But if you want to hear more about it, you can always go on the IA server.
Yes, we do have
they literally have a wish list channel for the IA3.
And we also pinned information on what it's going to be about too.
Yes, so you can take a look at that. Now, is there anything else about incest you want to talk about, my friend?
I'm sure there is, but I can't think of any right now. I'm sure there is, but
it would be. I think this would be a fun topic to revisit in a future episode once we think about other things to talk about.
Oh, for sure. And of course, I'm sure if we bring on some guests, which we do have some lined up in the future, so keep an eye out for them. We definitely would love to talk about it more if they bring it up, of course.
Yes, and as always, if you're a creator, it can be art, writing, whatever, any kind of creation, and you're interested in being on the podcast, just contact us and we can line something up. Any creator of lolly or Shota stuff. Or if you're not a creator, but you of someone who might be interested, feel free to let them know about the podcast, and if they're interested, they can always contact us.
Yeah, and they would contact us on our Brag. They can join our server, of course, our IA server if they want to. Contact us on Discord. I think those are like kind of the two main ways they would be able to contact us. Best ways. And we definitely would love to see more creators on here. And of course, we don't just want to showcase, more well-known creators. We want to also bring on smaller creators as well, because we want everybody who creates Shota and Lolly to be recognized and to have people know more about them, because as we know, it's very difficult to often have a platform to be able to promote your work and your material.
Yep. So that's all we have for today. It was a great pleasure talking about incest with you.
Yes. It's a fun topic. I'm always willing to talk about it. So hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we'll hope you check us out next time.
See ya.